On the eve of the new year of 1850, Catherine had a very bad sore throat and was obliged, though sorely against her inclination, to stay in bed all day and forego a small evening gaiety. At about 6 o'clock p.m., Ella took her some tea, and fearing she would be dull, offered to stay with her during the evening. This, however, Catherine would not hear of. "You go and entertain your company," she said laughingly, "and leave me to my own devices. I feel very lazy, and I dare say I shall go to sleep." As she had not slept much on the preceding night, Ella thought it was the best thing she could do. So she went out by the door leading on to the corridor, first placing the night lamp on the table behind the door opening onto the laundry, so that it might not shine in her face. She did not again visit Catherine's room until reminded to do so by my son George at about 10:30. She then rapped at the door, and receiving no answer, opened it softly and approached the bed. Catherine lay quite still, and Ella imagined her to be asleep. She therefore returned to the drawing-room without disturbing her. As it was New Year's Eve, we stayed up to see the old year out and the new year in, and at a few minutes to 12, we all gathered round the open window on the stairs to hear the chimes ring out from the village church. We were all listening breathlessly as the hall clock struck 12. Then a piercing cry suddenly echoed through the house, causing us all to start in alarm. I knew that it could only proceed from Catherine's room, for the servants were all assembled at the window beneath us, listening, like ourselves, for the chimes. Thither, therefore, I flew, followed by Ella, and we found poor Catherine in a truly pitiable state. She was deadly pale, in an agony of terror, and the perspiration stood in large drops upon her forehead. Well, it was some time before we could succeed at all in composing her, and her first words were to implore us to take her into another room. She was too weak to stand, so we wrapped her in blankets and carried her into Ella's bedroom. I noticed that as she was taken through the laundry, she shuddered and put her hands before her eyes. When she was laid on Ella's bed, she grew calmer and apologized for the trouble she had caused, saying that she had had a dreadful dream. With this explanation we were fain to be content, though I thought it hardly accounted for her excessive terror. I had observed, however, that any allusion to what had passed caused her to tremble and turn pale again, and I thought it best to refrain from exciting her further. When morning came, I found Catherine almost her usual self again, but I persuaded her to remain in bed until the evening, as her cold was not much better. Ella's curiosity to hear the dream which had so much excited her friend could now no longer be restrained, but whenever she asked to hear it, Catherine said, "Not now. Another time, perhaps. I may tell you." When she came down to dinner in the evening, we noticed that she was peculiarly silent, and we endeavoured to rally her into her usual spirits, but in vain. She tried to laugh and to appear merry, poor child, but there was evidently something on her mind. At last, as we all sat round the fire after dinner, she spoke. She addressed herself to my husband,